Havana is the name of the band, right? Or the group or whatever you want to call it. And they made this song about Donald Trump and how they were going to go vote for Donald Trump. We'll play the video later here today. It's hilarious. And we should include this in MAGA Rap Part 2 or Part 3, which we never did, even though it's not rap, but still. And I mean, it didn't age well, you know. I mean, the message was nonsense from the beginning, but still, you know, there were large amounts of the Latin American community here in the United States that voted for Donald Trump, subscribed to Donald Trump's rhetoric, you know, and it's grossly backfired on these people. There were large amounts of Hispanics that did not vote for Donald Trump and never did subscribe to his ideology. But we're here now, right? We have to sit and watch and listen and suffer with everyone else. So these people, this group put together this "I Will Vote for Donald Trump" song in Spanish and in English. 3 from Havana. Well, get ready to go back, right? Get ready to go back to Havana, because the Trump regime, at least 500,000 immigrants that were here illegally from Cuba, El Salvador, Venezuela, Nicaragua, got their documents revoked, whatever it is that kept them here in the United States legally. It's been revoked, and they have to leave the country within 30 days. I thought we were going after the criminals, John. I thought we were going after the criminals, but no. And when they were going after the farmers, nobody really gave a shit, you know, even though they should have. Some people did. Let me not say anybody. I'm generalizing here, but now it's clear that, and all the agendas are becoming clear, John. At least maybe maybe we're wrong, but things are becoming a little bit clearer as time is rolling on. With the immigration agenda, it was never about the criminals. They just want all the immigrants out, whether you're here legally or not. And another thing that they want to do, which we can discuss, is that they're really putting into question what being a citizen of the United States is. And that affects all of us, regardless of ethnicity. You know, it affects all of us. And we will talk about that a little bit with John. We're also seeing some of the geopolitical puzzle pieces falling into place now, with Donald Trump's stubbornness over Greenland, and then Vladimir Putin saying, take him very seriously. Do not, under any circumstances, underestimate Trump's desire to take over Greenland. He means it, and we're cool with it, is what Vladimir Putin said. And then we're going to take it a step further, and I think we're going to start off with this, John. All right, just try to keep me honest about everything else that we're trying to do here.
Okay.
All right. But you and I have been doing this for quite some time. We've been anti-Trump and the Trump regime since before they regained power. I thought they would never regain power. You said they would definitely regain power by hook or by crook, and here they are. But by hook or by crook is now taking a totally different, well, not different, it's just becoming more apparent now, by hook or by crook. We are in for something in 2028. We are in for something in 2028. And they would talk about Steve Bannon, all these people back in the day, you know, they would flirt with the third term. You know, oh, we're having a third term. Let's flirt with it. You know, let's put it out there. And they would say, oh, it's a joke. Everybody that would try to explain it away, right? MAGA would try to explain it away. And they're joking. They're not serious. You're taking this too seriously. You're very short-sighted. I had some people tell me when I was like, this guy wants to run for a third term. He doesn't want to leave office. And the way they operated before the election was, you know, oh, these guys are kidding. It's a joke, wink, wink, just like Project 2025. It's a joke, Steve Bannon. We're going to find that clip and play it for you today. Steve Bannon saying, hey, I guess we could tell them we weren't kidding about Project 2025 now, after they got elected. Well, it's the same thing here. After Trump got elected, I guess we could tell them that we're planning on staying in office past 2028. Trump has admitted this now. We can't do the mental gymnastics anymore, right? And I'm not saying that anybody listening to this right now is doing mental gymnastics about anything. I'm talking about the people that have supported Donald Trump and look the other way every time the goalpost is moved even further, right? They look the other way every time something egregious happens or every time something that they wouldn't necessarily side with if it was anyone else. They look the other way. And if Joe Biden had said he was going to run for another term, Barack Obama, let's say, because Joe Biden didn't have consecutive terms. But if Barack Obama would have said it, people would have lost a gasket. Now Donald Trump is openly saying it. It is not a joke. Project 2025 is not a joke. These things were never jokes. It was a way to explain it away at the time. And now that it's here, they're not even trying to explain it away. They're just subscribing to it. This is the essence of a cult, right? So now that we're here, how will these people react about the third term? He has admitted this now, John. Yeah. We're going to play the clip. Well, there's no clip of him admitting it. He's saying there's an audio clip somewhere.
We know that's what the CMP wants through Project 2025. They want him to have a third, fourth, fifth, seventh, 10th, however he lives until he dies, dynasty of the Trumps.
This was coming from the horse's mouth.
I know.
That's what separates it from everything else. Because Bannon can say it all day long, and people will try to explain it away.
And the CMP can say it, or it's in Project 2025, and they can still explain it away.
People, exactly. This can't be explained away. Donald Trump has admitted it. And he says there are several ways of going about it. He said that, and I'll pull up the article in just a little bit, and we'll talk about it. He said that J.D. Vance could run for president, and Donald Trump would run as his vice president, and then J.D. Vance would give up the presidency and give it to Donald Trump. This was Donald Trump's rationale. Apparently, they've sat down and discussed this. Steve Bannon has said it several times, and we're going to play it here. Most recently, he says, we are working on it. When he was asked, how are you going to get Donald Trump to run for a third term? It's not constitutional. He's like, don't worry about it. We're working on it. So they're looking at ways, right, to bend the law, to reinterpretations of the law, to allow Donald Trump to become the God King here in the United States. And now they are openly telling you that this is what they plan to do. They are openly telling you that he will not leave the White House come 2028. They might, and this is the worst case scenario, and I know this is probably the one that you subscribe to, and I'm going to turn it over to you in just a second because I'm very interested in hearing what you have to say. We've spoken about this throughout the years, but we haven't spoken about this given the new revelation, given the new crap that came out of Donald Trump's mouth, right? We sent each other articles about it, but we haven't discussed. I think the most obvious way that dictators do this around the world is martial law.
That's correct, yes.
That is the most secure way, I think, for Trump to stay in office. And we want to talk about, everybody that's been in the movement for quite some time, and we're talking about Alex Jones and how he would talk about martial law is coming. It's freaking here now. That opportunity is here now for them. The door is in sight. Donald Trump will push it open in order to stay in power. I don't think he can do it any other way. They're looking for ways to bend the laws, but the easiest way to do it is create a conflict. For lack of a better term, a false flag. and suspend the Constitution and a wartime president. And he's already using that term very loosely. This is why it's important to hold these people accountable for what they say, right? When you say it's an invasion of illegal immigrants coming over, what does he do? He's like, well, we got to declare war because we're being invaded. So that expands the meaning of the word. And then he can take advantage of that and say, we are at war, martial law, emergency powers. I am not leaving. These are real things we need to be talking about right now. And while we are several years out of this, he has admitted it now. We need to put our foot on the pedal and try to stop this at this moment. Otherwise, we are screwed. We are screwed. He's not trying to leave. Everybody says, oh, my God, you guys are so high, Trump derangement syndrome. Say what you will. The facts are the facts are the facts. Guy has just admitted it. And Steve Bannon has been talking about it for quite some time. Mm-hmm. And now he's emboldened because they won the election and they have taken power. So he is coming out and saying, yeah, I'm not kidding. It's absolutely true. It's 100% right. We are looking to stay. Here's what we're looking to do. Come stop us. J.D. Vance said the other day about the courts. I don't know if it was the other day, but there's a footage of it. I got to find it. Talking about the courts. He's like, well, you can make a ruling now. Come try and enforce it.
Well, did you see Kristi Noem when she was down there in El Salvador telling the judge with glee that he might end up down here?
No, you know what? You were supposed to get me that clip. Do you have it?
I'll try to find it, but yeah.
All right. But go ahead. I want to turn it over to you. Easy on the clip right now. I want you to talk about what I've just said and react to. This is groundbreaking shit. You know, this is next level. Sound the alarm. Red alert. Conductor, we have a problem. We have a massive problem with what Trump has said. And to the credit of the media, it is being reported far and wide. Right. So I want to see the reaction of MAGA for. I mean, I already know what it's going to be, but still, you know the deal. But I want your thoughts on this. They're doing it. He has said it. You can call it revelation of the method for my conspiracy theory friends. You can say whatever you want. It's here now. How do you think this is going to unfold? How do you think this is going to work out?
Well, we know that Bannon in the past, CMP, Stephen Ketamine Bannon, Council for National Policy member Stephen Ketamine Bannon, has said in the past that he wants a Trump dynasty, right? He wants a Trump monarchy, that, you know, when Trump dies and it can be passed on to Donald John Trump Jr. and then to Eric Trump and then to Barron Trump, right? And so he believes in the power of unitary executive theory, where the executive branch of the presidency has the most power, and it's no longer a balance between the three branches of government: the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch, right? So, you know, they've been saying this for a very long time now, as you and I have both talked about quite often. And it looks like, you remember the clip that Trump was, when he was talking to Christians, saying, you only have to vote this one time, you beautiful Christians, and I said that that's what this means. And it looks like that's what this means, and that, you know, he's going to maintain in power. So usually how does that happen? Well, one declares himself to be dictator, right? One declares himself to be king. And so Trump's done that. You know, Trump stopped short of calling himself the savior of the world, which I think he will, as the Antichrist, the false savior. But he has stated that he is the savior of Western civilization, the savior of the United States of America. That's a hero complex. And so... we have Council for National Policy President Thomas J. Fitton of Judicial Watch stating that the Council for National Policy is completely behind Donald John Trump in all capacity, right? So they're fine with him doing this. We have Donald John Trump's administration completely disregarding the court rulings against them, not even caring about the court rulings against them at all, not even acting like they care about the court rulings against them, completely just disregarding the rule of law. And that's only going to continue. That's, the rule of law, for whatever it was worth and the Constitution for whatever it's worth at this point does not exist anymore in America. Now, a lot of people will say, well, John, you're being a little bit too alarmist, right? You know,
Right.
you're the boy who cried wolf. And yeah, I might be a little bit too soon in saying that per se, but I can tell you I'm seeing it coming down the pipeline. And unless God
I don't
intervenes,
think you're
it's
too
happening.
soon in. I don't think you're too soon in saying it. I think more people should be saying it. I don't think you're too. I mean, I understand that we can go a lot deeper, right? And there's still more, just about 4 years left of this, so they have time.
It's
to
already
move.
accelerated in 2 months, man. How much more
Exactly.
acceleration can there be?
Oh well, I'd rather not find out, but I think we're gonna. But no, I think you're right though. I don't think you're wrong for assuming these things. And some of it isn't. See, the thing is, it's not an assumption.
They're saying it.
He's saying it.
They're
right?
saying
He's
it.
saying this stuff, right? And they're doing also actively defying the courts, actively stretching the boundaries of the Constitution,
Actively calling people treasonous and taking away their rights, taking away though I have issues with Biden, obviously, taking away their security clearances out of malice, out of just straight hate. And they're talking about taking a security clearance away from the judge, meaning the judge couldn't even make a fair ruling when it comes to whether the people that are being deported are terrorists or not, or cartel members or not, right? Because he no longer has the security clearance to make that determination. So therefore, that right there makes the judge unable to have all the evidence necessary to make a fair ruling. And that's Trump administration doing it. And they're even threatening to put him in jail. They've been making these threats. They're calling illegal immigrants. They're not, they're calling, first of all, like Don Jeffries said on America Unplugged, and he's right. What constitutes a definition of terrorism? What constitutes calling these people terrorists? So yes, obviously I'm not for the cartels. The cartels do a lot of wicked, evil things, and they destroy people's lives. It's horrific. But to sit here and to label them as terrorists and then label anybody who you suspect to be a cartel member without any due process to determine if they're a cartel member or not. There's been innocent people arrested. There's been innocent people in El Salvador. There's been former gang members who became born-again pastors that have been arrested and put in CCOT in El Salvador. Okay? So, I mean, this isn't good. There's no due process here. There's no rule of law here. Not that it ever really truly exists, but now the facade of it is gone. It's gone now.
It did exist, and you're right to say that there was a facade for some of us, right? Because it didn't exist for everyone.
Correct. Yes.
But it did exist to a degree.
But it no longer exists now. It no longer exists now.
Right.
And so because of that, things are going to continue to accelerate because you don't have any. There's no brakes on this train. Not that there are really any to begin with, but there's none. They don't even exist. Like even the theory of brakes on this train doesn't exist anymore. All right. And so if they continue going the way they're going, it's only going to lead you to a fascist dictatorship. There's no in between. It's going to lead to martial law. It's going to lead to camps. It's going to lead to mass protests and arrests. And they're telling you this is going to happen. They're telling you they're going to put the homeless in camps. They're telling you they're going to put the mentally ill in camps. They're telling you that they're going to put drug addicts in camps.
Ill, right? That's another point. What defines mentally ill? Because they're trying to make a Trump derangement syndrome an official pathology.
Yes.
Right? They're trying to make it that Trump derangement syndrome means that you are mentally ill. And what will they do as a result of that?
Put you in a camp.
Hopefully it won't. In a sane world, this won't pass, right? This won't happen. But we do not live in a sane world anymore. We can't. If we ever did, we certainly can't claim for that to be the case right now. Go ahead, John.
No, you're right. So what are they going to do if you speak out against their leader? If anybody speaks out against Trump publicly that has any type of fame, he's literally calling them they're a terrorist or a traitor openly right now. So how are we to think that someone like us who are out here speaking against Trump, that you and I mean, they're talking about denaturalizing citizens. How far does this go back? How far does this go back?
What does it mean to be a citizen of the United States? And to that point, and we discussed it on America Unplugged. What is it? Terrorism, right? All terrorists need to go to El Salvador, right? The Tren de Aragua, they are terrorists. So when they start using the label of domestic terrorism, what does that mean for your citizenship? Oh, well, they shouldn't be citizens because they're terrorists. So if you criticize the regime, you could be labeled a domestic terrorist. They're already paving the way.
They're saying that the judge, that could happen to the judge.
Exactly.
So if it could happen to him, it could happen to you. Why couldn't it?
Exactly. Right. No, 100%. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, it's just the people that keep saying that their heads in the sand and they're acting like this isn't happening. And yeah, I've been seeing this happening, even though it gets more clearer by the day, and been screaming out this from the top of my lungs for months now, if not a year or two. Again, people are still saying, John, you're too soon. I don't see it yet. I don't see it yet. Are you going to see it when your neighbor, or when they come knocking on the, are you going to see it when they come for you? Are you going to feel it when they come for you, like Lupe Fiasco says? Are you going to feel it when they're coming for you to put you to those camps? Okay, because that's exactly what is happening. People need to realize it. They need to understand it. They need to understand that they're using the same terrorist definition that they used during the 9/11 against Muslims. They're going to use it against American citizens. They're going to use it against the illegals first, and people aren't going to care, even though they're going to deport a lot of illegals that aren't terrorists, that aren't criminals, okay?
A lot of illegals that aren't illegal.
Exactly, yes. They're literally doing it to legal American citizens, but they're going to do it anyway, and people aren't going to care because they're going to be able to rationalize and justify that, okay? But it's like you say, Billy, you ain't going to be rationalizing and justifying it when they come knocking upon your door.
Right, man. And that's the sad part, unfortunately. Well, he said it now. I think a martial law is the easiest way for him to get there. And of course, he didn't want to explain that to the I think it was NBC or CBS. I forget what news organization he was talking to when he said this, because they asked him. He says there's many different ways we can get there. He said, and then he laid out the J.D. Vance plan. And then they asked him, well, what other ways? And he just said plain out, no, I'm not talking about it. I'm not saying anything. And Steve Bannon has a lot of things up his sleeve, admittedly. I'm sure Stephen Miller has something to do with this. I am sure John Eastman is in there working something out, and trying to figure out how they can manipulate laws that are already in the books in a way that they can make an argument as silly and as ridiculous as these arguments are. As long as they make an argument that people can believe, that people want to believe, that people want to buy into. Yeah. They make the argument, and they've been doing it since 2020, at least. Creating arguments out of creating scenarios, creating different interpretations of the law in order to.
Well, they did in 2016 too. They just didn't go pedal to the metal.
Right. Then that's why I said at least to 2020
because I remember when they were doing it in 2016, as far as banning countries that immigrants could come in through, saying that they were Muslim terrorists. Did you forget that?
No. Say that again. I'm sorry.
In 2016, remember they were banning immigrants that could come in from certain countries because they labeled them as Muslim terrorist countries.
Yes.
They did that in 2016.
Right.
But they didn't. But they eased off when the courts started coming after them. Right. They ain't easing off now. So it's something they've already done. But now they know what they can do to get away with it.
Yeah. Hey, Dustin Helm is in the chat. We appreciate you, man. It's the X chat. There are 60 something plus people, 61 people in the X chat right now. I mean, in the X, watching on X, not necessarily participating in the chat, but we appreciate you, Dustin. There's a couple of other people there. 70s born, 90s swag is in there. A few other people in the chat. We are looking to create other avenues where we can stream, where people can get together. We're also over on Ground Zero Plus. It's only audio over there, and I don't know if I'm live. Chris, let me know if I'm live or not.
Yes,
if I'm not,
he says you are in the chat. You are.
He says I'm live?
Yeah.
Where did he say that?
He said at the very beginning at 7:07 p.m.
Oh, we're live. We are live over at Ground Zero Plus, which is dope. This is going to be our home. So they have an active chat over there, but then again, nobody knows we're there right now. So keep that in mind. But you can go over there, and I'll, when we do America Unplugged, I'll plug that a little more, and you can go over to that chat. You can watch us live on YouTube and chat over at Ground Zero. But there's tons of great contact over at Ground Zero Plus. So check us out there, and it'll be running over there. Shouts to them. Thank you, Chris, for doing everything you do. Ron Patton and Clyde Lewis, we really appreciate it being over there on that platform. What's up, JG? So yeah, we have problems, we have issues. We've been saying this for some time, but now it's evident. So how do you think MAGA is going to react to this?
They're going to be fine with it. They're going to be fine with
it. We need MAGA. we need MAGA to really wake up. It's been used, right? That term has been used and spent and drained. Oh, everybody's waking up. They're waking up. They're waking up. They're waking up. You never really woke up, right? Like, can we finally wake up and step out of this now? I mean, he's saying he's going to run for a third term. We said last week that America has pretty much become an autocratic society, that they're cool with autocracy. They as long as it favors them, they're cool with autocracy. It seems, you know. So this dude is openly he has been impeachable act after impeachable act after impeachable act, not an issue. And now he's saying he's going to stay the president of the United States. I don't believe at this point. Man, I hope we make it for them to be elections. I hope that, and even that has become a process, because you want to talk about a rigged election. This guy doesn't want to leave, okay? And he's got Elon Musk sitting there with him. Think about that in 2028. But there may not even be elections. We may not even have them. He did say you'll never need to vote again. And at this point, we need to take him at his word, you know? We need to dictator on day one. Everybody who thought it was not, including me, and I'm the biggest, person to push back on Donald Trump that I know, including me. I was like, I don't think he really means he's going to be a dick. Well, guess what? You know, he's the closest thing to a dictator the United States has ever had, and I don't think you can argue against it. Not with the truth behind you, anyway. I don't know. I don't know. What's it going to take to have people snap out of this? I don't understand. Is it too late for America at this point? I like to think we still have a shot. I like to think that we can maneuver our way out of this. I don't see how we can do that, but I like to think that there is a way. Don't answer that, John, please. I don't want to. I don't want to have. You know, I know what you're thinking, so don't answer it. But how is MAGA gonna try to justify this situation, in your opinion?
I don't think they're going to. I don't think they will. At first, there'll be some that will not like it when it keeps ramping up, right? There'll be some that will break away, but I think eventually you're going to have more. It's going to be weird. You're going to have more people actually start agreeing with it. And so you're going to have some MAGA people fall away, but in average, you're going to have more Americans actually start agreeing with it. The polling's already showing that, crazy enough. The most recent
showing that they want Trump to run for a third term.
No, well, not that, but the most recent poll I saw that the majority of Americans actually are in favor for what Trump's doing immigration wise.
Oh, immigration wise, but otherwise, his approval rating is at like 42%.
Yeah, but they're justifying immigration wise, which is a pretty big marker for planting flags down. All right, so I think that's going to continue. I don't see how it does not. And I think that most MAGA people, because they're caught in listening to the Council for National Policy controlled media, right? They're going to keep doubling and tripling down because they don't want to be wrong about Trump.
Right.
Now you can have some that are going to break away, but you're going to gain some progressives, leftists eventually in more centrists behind Trump too, especially if they start pulling false flags in his favor, right? If the false Great Awakening pivots back, we'll see. I'm not necessarily saying that's going to happen, thus saith the Lord, but I believe that it will. So
Look at what Benjamin is saying here in the chat. What's up, Benjamin? This is in reference to you and what you're saying. He says MAGAs are awake. That's the only thing I disagree with.
I agree.
I think
I disagree.
what's that, buddy?
I disagree with him. I agree with you.
Right, but I see what he's trying to say though. He said MAGAs are awake. They just don't care, and to a degree, he's right. It's the terminology awake.
I say they're not awake to what's going on,
but that they don't care. He's absolutely right. Right, they just don't care. He says that you're exactly right. They're totally cool with it as long as it's their guy, right? So I guess that's me too, because it's the autocracy thing. As long as it's their guy, they're totally cool with it. But that would lead me to believe that they are still asleep, personally, if we're going to use that terminology. But I appreciate your contributions to the chat, and I appreciate your thoughts, Benjamin. Go ahead, comment on that real quick.
No, I mean, I would say that a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are kind of believing what the alternative media and the CMP media tells them. Not that we get it right all the time either. We don't. But they're kind of like locked in. They're believing the CMP and Trump's lies, right? A lot of them listen to Alex Jones, for example, or Tucker Carlson. So they're just believing those lies per se. I mean, I'll mention it briefly, but from a Christian perspective, a lot of them are truly awake. They're believers, right? But they're just stuck in this delusion. Now, whether or not they come out of it, I don't know. I hope they do. I don't know. But that's where this is all seems to be heading towards, is people either lining up with Trump and them, especially if one final thing, and I'll mention it very briefly, if my Great Awakening hypothesis is correct, and disclosure really starts happening, and there are things that start happening, false flags or whatever, to make it seem like John Trump is truly the savior of the world, even though I think he's the false savior. But if the QAnon stuff does continue in great fashion to be confirmed, that will start getting regular people behind Trump that were not, and even people who were greatly resistant Trump behind him. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's a theory of mine. I think it will, but I'm not 100% sure. And we do know that Alice Bailey had externalization of the hierarchy in 2025, which would be this year, that the White Hat Lodge would, and Ascended Masters, which I believe are demons, would expose themselves to the world as the saviors of humanity, right? So whether that happens or not, we'll see. If disclosure continues, we'll see. I will say this, to your point, disclosure hasn't gone as quickly as I thought it was going to. Everything else is really but that. But we'll see. Because it could be that they want to keep people on the edge of their seats if you're doing a P.T. Barnum type thing, right, Billy? Where you want maximum impact because you keep promising something for so long that eventually it does finally come, right? Imagine the impact that would have on society from a psychographical standpoint. And right now we do have Elon Musk literally confirming what his purchasing of X was, other than maybe the all-in-one app for the Mark of the Beast. But outside of that, he's confirming parapolitically what the app was, which was a massive amount of psychographical data, more than the world has ever seen. And what is he doing with that data now is confirmed with XAI buying X for $33 million, feeding it into the Grok Memphis, Tennessee supercomputer complex. Training Grok.
If you ever have any questions for Grok, now is the time to do it. Go over there. You're going to get some honest answers. Grok even talks crap about Elon Musk if you put it in right now, but that won't last for too much longer. Anyway, go ahead.
I would argue never use it because you're feeding it. But the thing is that's what they're using. I mean, it's going to be Cambridge Analytica on steroids. But, Cambridge Analytica 3.0 was already Cambridge Analytica on steroids. So imagine how much more this is going to be. I don't know, man. I'm speculating here, but it's not good. It's not good.
Well, I mean, nothing that's going on is good. And a lot of the things that we're discussing are already laid out for people to see, and that's the crazy part about this. Here we go. Let me play this clip of the architect, the guy. In my opinion, they talk about, and I think Cuomo did a good job here in this interview, breaking down the role of the Steve Bannon. But he talks about one of the guys. I think Steve Bannon is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
He is the architect. He is the father of MAGA. He is the father of the MAGA movement. Donald Trump is an offspring of Steve Bannon. And while Donald Trump has become the face of MAGA, Steve Bannon is the father of MAGA, in my opinion. And I mean,
And a theosophist. You had Tintelbaum on, right? So Tintelbaum's work shows that he's a theosophist.
Yes,
So,
he
a neo-theosophist, I would say.
We should. I think I'm going to ask Tintelbaum to come back on, and we can talk about that. He wrote a book about Bannon.
War for Eternity. Definitely worth reading.
On theinfinitefringe.podbeam.com, The Infinite Fringe on Apple Podcast, and it's in there. Dig for it. And it's me and him talking about Bannon a few years ago. All right, let's see if this plays.
It seems that the past is behind him. So I want to talk about our present and our
Can you pause this
potential
real quick for a second, Billy? Just for 1 second, I just want to say something.
What's up?
Why is Chris Cuomo and Gavin Newsom, who are darling, well, at least Gavin Newsom's a darling of the left, right? Supposedly, allegedly. Why are they platforming these Council for National Policy stooges and shills and giving them airtime to talk to their platforms for people and try to come together, have a come together moment where we can work with these people when these people are utter scum? I'm not defending Gavin Newsom. I'm just saying, isn't that a little bit odd?
Well, in the case of Gavin Newsom, I think he's trying to, and he failed miserably because this blew up in his face. I don't know how it's going to happen moving forward, but he's trying to position himself for a presidential run as a moderate, and he's trying to reach out to the MAGA faithful. I'm not that bad. He got Steve Bannon on and gave him zero pushback, nothing. So I was like, why would you have Steve Bannon on otherwise to have a friendly chat? And when Steve Bannon says obvious falsehoods, not push back on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why he would do that. As far as Cuomo goes, I don't know. Cuomo, I think, is a little bit more brash than.
Well, Cuomo's in on the right wing of the world order. I think that he's trying to revive. He's trying to make himself over for his run for New York City mayor to replace Eric Adams.
Well, this is his brother. This is
Well, yeah, but the whole Cuomo family are working together though. For that,
what was his name? They gave him a nickname. This dude, little something. I forget what was the name. They gave this dude a name.
But they're all working together for that interest, though.
Right. All right, let me finish.
Administration and what his role might be, because this is the guy behind much of the aggressive messaging. America being at war, the Democrats being the enemy, the media the enemy of the people. Okay, you've heard Trump say that a lot, but Bannon coined it, okay, in terms of this iteration of usage.
And he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. And where does this come from? And I think you could trace a lot of it back to John Birch, the John Birch Society, and that's where a lot of this rhetoric has originated. And it's been used since the 1950s, recycled and repurposed over and over and over again until it finally took hold to the masses.
The administrative state, that there needs to be shock troops to take control of the government institutions. He infamously predicted that all hell would break loose on January 6th.
He didn't predict it. He knew it was going to happen because they were active in organizing it. We freaking knew it was going to happen. John, myself, and Neil Sanders were on the phone talking about it before January 6th. We knew it was going to happen.
So I want to see where his mind is on what we're all living through together and what his role may be going forward. Joining me now, White House chief strategist at one time of the first Trump administration, host of Bannon's War Room, Mr. Steve Bannon. Thank you for taking the opportunity.
Chris, thanks for having me on News Nation, and I appreciate you.
So the only thing that you're not going to like talking about, we'll talk about first. I'm watching CPAC, and they put up a poll of potential, next generation, right? Post-Trump. You are second on the list after the VP as people getting the nod at CPAC to be president. A lot of people were surprised by this. My first question, you have anything to do with putting your name in that list because you have presidential ambitions?
No. And President Trump, I'm a firm believer that President Trump will run and win again in 2028. So I've already endorsed President Trump. A man like this comes along once every century if we're lucky. We've got him now. He's on fire, and I'm a huge supporter. Want to see him again in 2028.
And obviously, anybody who doesn't like what you say but judges it as a function of a lack of intelligence doesn't know anything about you. I don't make that mistake. You're a smart guy. You know he's term limited. How do you think he gets another term?
We're working on it.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
I think we'll have a couple of alternatives. Let's say that. We'll see. We'll see what the definition. We'll see what the definition of term. We'll see what the definition of term limit is.
All right. Well, so
and this is what I mean. See what the definition. It is clear. There is no debate on this, but they will artificially create a debate in order to get their agenda through. And the thing is here with Cuomo, zero pushback. You know, I think he at least did a good job in describing Bannon's role here. But this was very friendly. I would have told him, hey, this is not constitutional. There's no debate about this. It's not constitutional. So you are willing to break ways with the Constitution in order to get what you want? Is that what you're saying, Steve Bannon? That would have been a nice follow-up there, but he didn't do that.
About litigating this issue, because I don't want people to listen to our interview and say Bannon's cooking up an insurrection. Bannon is cooking up. You know what I mean? I want people to get a straight take on where your head is. What are you suggesting?
Chris, as you know, I've had greater long shots than this. When we supported President Trump after the election, I realize you don't believe the election in 2020 was stolen. We do. We fervently believe that. Where President
and right there, you challenge that. How? Ask him to prove it. And then when he comes up with stuff that he's saying, challenge those things. But no, he just lets him go and lets him say what he wants. Rewind this a little bit. Damn, that was too far. Hold
on. I think we'll have a couple of alternatives. Let's say that. We'll see. We'll see what the definition. We'll see what the definition of term. We'll see what the definition of term limit is.
All right. Well, so you're talking about litigating this issue, because I don't want people to listen to our interview and say Bannon's cooking up an insurrection. Bannon is cooking up. You know what I mean?
This is key. This is key, because what do you think is going to happen if come 2028 they try to stay in office? I mean, and I didn't think it was a possibility for a long, long time. But what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is one of the most likely avenues this can go? It's a civil war. It'll create mass civil unrest. And they're saying, I don't want you to think, I don't want the people to think that Bannon is planning some type of insurrection. He was intimately involved in January 6th.
Oh, yes.
Intimately. We're seeing it play out again. I don't want people to 2028 comes around and I mean, this is inevitably going to happen, but we have to do our part, right? I don't want people to come around in 2028 and say, well, we didn't see this coming, or well, Bannon he wasn't planning these sort of things. They wanted a nice takeover, not a nasty takeover. There is no such thing as a legal third term. It does not exist. There is no thing that would indicate that this is of a legal mindset. There's no legalities to this. So what do you think is going to happen? And this is where the mainstream media falls short. They have these people on, they platform them, they don't say anything, they don't give them any pushback. They give them a platform to say whatever the hell it is that they want and possibly increase their audience to a degree without ever challenging what they're saying in a factual way. Go ahead, John.
No, I would agree. If they get rid of the bill, the amendment for not being able to serve a third term.
There's a 22nd Amendment, right?
I don't remember exactly which one it is. I got
I'll look
discalculated
it up.
anyway. I might get the number off
Go
by
ahead.
one. But anyway, what I was saying is if they do that, then does that mean Barack Hussein Obama can run for a third term?
Well, what they're trying to do, and that would be fantastic, right? Have both of them run, and let's see. But first off, we have to really think about the legitimacy of the election come 2028 at this point, because it's clear he does not want to leave. He's already said it, right? So what's going to happen at that manner? Second, what they're trying to do is, and here's where the legalities come in, where John Eastman comes in, and how they use semantics and they bend and turn language in order to get what it is that they want. So what they want to do is they're going to say that people or presidents that haven't served consecutive terms are eligible for another term because it was not consecutive. But if you run consecutive terms like Obama did, if you had consecutive terms, he was elected president back to back, then you are disqualified from that option. And the only person that fulfills the requirement of the new law, the pseudo law that they're putting out, the pseudo interpretation of the Constitution, is Donald J. Trump. Go ahead, sir.
Which, I mean, would make sense because then you couldn't have Obama run, right?
Exactly.
Or you couldn't have Bill Clinton run, or you couldn't have George W. Bush run.
Right. He couldn't run either. None of them. Only Obama.
So I mean,
only Trump. I'm sorry.
So I mean, that would make sense because you wouldn't want any of that to occur if you're Trump. I mean, what do we expect? I mean, they're going to do whatever they possibly can to keep Trump or the Trump dynasty in power.
Right.
As this is a autocracy, fascist dictatorship, monarchy, whatever you want to call it. And it's only going to continue.
Right.
I mean, do you see?
You're at a loss for words. What's going on?
Let me ask you this, okay?
Yeah.
Now, I don't believe this train's going to stop except for an act of God. All right. But as of right now, do you entertain a possibility where Trump could end up in prison?
No.
Okay.
I mean, all right. Let me not say no. After 2028, and this is a huge if he leaves office, right, and a Democrat ascends to power, they will use all of the things that MAGA and the Trump regime is currently using against them. And the possibilities of all those charges, right, that are gone in presidential immunity. If Trump didn't respect the laws of the land, why should they respect the laws of the land when in regards to him? This is the mentality I think they're going to take. And they're going to say, well, presidential immunity no longer exists, and we are not respecting that when it comes to Donald Trump, and they're going to try to lock him up. If that happens, then there's a roadway that we can follow that leads Trump to jail. Other than that, no. I don't see him doing any jail time. Go ahead. Even then, like if the Republicans do take over, I mean, if the Democrats do take over, I don't see him doing jail time. But the possibilities grow, of course, if that happens. But other than that, I don't see it. Why do you ask?
I was just curious.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Anyway,
I was just curious what your position was. Like, I genuinely, because we're trying to, I try to gauge you on how much opium is left in the can.
Ah, man, I got you.
At least I'm being honest about it, because our only hope should be Jesus. It's just I want to see how much hope you got left in the people for them to rise up and usurp Donald John Trump. Because
I get it. I understand that. Here we go. The only president to serve more than 2 terms was FDR. And the only reason he was able to was because of World War II. Actually, I think the reason he was able to do it is because at that point, during FDR's presidency and presidencies prior to that, there was no amendment to the Constitution. It was just like a courtesy because George Washington only served 2 terms, and then he bailed out. So everybody else did that. Other presidents tried to obtain a 3rd term before FDR and failed, but FDR was allowed to do it because there was no constitutional amendment saying that he couldn't. After that, I think in 51, and I think it's the 22nd Amendment. Don't quote me. I have to look that up. Where it says that presidents couldn't serve more than 2 terms. But yes, FDR is the only president he served
22nd Amendment.
22nd. Did I say the 21st?
Yeah,
the
she just said
22nd?
21st, 22nd.
I was close. Anyway, but yeah, that's the deal or whatever. So that's why that happened. But he is openly saying it now. I don't know how MAGA argues their way out of this. I don't know how they can justify and still support a Trump presidency at this point with everything that's going on and how he openly called himself a king. And he said, and he was joking, oh, maybe I can run again. There's a lot of people that want me to run again. So many people want me to run again. And now he's just openly saying it. So it's out there now. Another thing that he's openly saying that we need to take very seriously is that he wants Greenland at all costs, says no matter what, refuses to rule out military intervention, refuses to rule out the military option in Greenland to take that land. Emmanuel Macron said, nah, if you do that, we're going to have to push back on you. That means NATO would push back on the United States. That would trigger a world war. And he says he's not willing to let go, that we need Greenland for a variety of reasons. Didn't know we needed it up until now, but we needed it, according to Donald Trump. And Vladimir Putin has extended the hand and said, you know what? If you want it, you can have it. Has nothing to do with us. Literally what Putin said. Has nothing to do with us. If you want it, you can have it. I guess as long as he can have the Ukraine, right? Mm-hmm. And there's been some back and forth on that because apparently Trump spazzed on Putin either yesterday or today. I'm not sure, according to reports. And he said that he was very upset that Putin wasn't going along with the ceasefire. But let's see where that leads, because Trump is so erratic. He says one thing one day and the next he says something else altogether, throwing the whole world order out of sorts. But Greenland is in play. It's a big deal. Also, if that happens, right? If the United States takes Greenland, and we've spoken about this, maybe Russia takes Ukraine. What's to stop them at that point? And then China takes Taiwan. What's to stop any of these powers from doing these things if the United States is setting the example that they can do whatever the hell they want? People in Denmark don't want the United States to have Greenland, and people in Greenland that don't want the United States to have Greenland. They don't want to be associated with the United States. They do not want to be Americans. He's continuing to push. This is very alarming. Red alert, red alert, red alert. Conductor, we have a problem. Nobody seems, the house is on fire, it's burning, but everything's just fine. What's going on, John?
No, I agree. I've been talking about Greenland. I've been sending you a lot of information that Peter Thiel wants Greenland, that, the ambassador to Greenland was part of the Peter Thiel nexus. I'll get that data exactly in a minute. And they also have talked about building their kind of libertine, pro-cryptocurrency, Christian nationalist nation Praxis in Greenland, and then later joked that they were going to build it in Gaza right after Trump takes it over, right? And so Greenland is, again, I really do believe that Greenland will be annexed, hook or by crook, by force or not, by the United States of America within the next year or two.
Damn.
I really believe
that long, huh? Wow. If by hook or by crook is the key word there, right? Because under normal circumstances, this would not be part of the conversation. But we're not under normal circumstances. We are not under normal circumstances. Red alert. Red alert. We have a problem. by crook is the biggest problem that we have. Do you think he will use the military to go in there? He says that there is a huge chance, which is bullshit, that it could take place without using the military, but he's not willing to rule out the military option here. Also, they can be strong-armed into giving up Greenland without an actual hot war, but with the threat of one. So I think this is what he's alluding to. But what do you think they're going to do?
I think that they are going to. My guess is probably buy it outright, but we'll see. They could invade it, just like they're talking
They
about.
don't want to give it up, though. So if they buy it outright, what are the conditions that are going to be set up to set up such a deal?
I don't.
They don't want to give it up.
I can't. I don't know. Like I'm speculating. All I know is I believe that it is highly likely that Denmark will be a territory or a state of the United States within the next few years. How we get there, I don't know.
Greenland.
Greenland, yes. I don't know. Greenland, yes. I don't know if we get there by invasion. I don't know if we get there by buying it like it's a territory, like the Louisiana Purchase. I don't know. All I'm telling you is the way it looks like, it's going to happen. And the guy's name was Ken Howery, right? So, and again, Trump does have Danish blood. All right, that's a whole nother discussion. All right. So Ken is a world-renowned entrepreneur, investor, and public servant. Okay. And so he says, a co-founder of PayPal and the venture capital fund Founders Fund. So the co-founder of PayPal, won the PayPal Mafia, Ken Howery, who is the co-founder of Peter Thiel's Founders Fund, which Eric Weinstein managed for so long, right? Ken Howery is the ambassador, Trump's ambassador to Denmark. Now, come on, Billy.
Okay.
That's interesting, right? I mean,
of course it's interesting.
Peter Thiel wants Denmark. Is Peter Thiel going to get Denmark?
He got the presidency of the United States.
Are you gonna? Okay, will you put 5 on it with me that we're gonna get Denmark?
I don't want to put 5
What's
on it.
What's more likely, Denmark, Canada, or the Panama Canal? I'd say Panama Canal is probably the most likely, right? Right?
Yeah.
And then Denmark, and then Canada, right?
Greenland.
I mean Greenland.
Denmark.
Sorry, I keep saying Denmark. Yeah. Greenland, and then Denmark is in control of Greenland, so that's why I keep saying.
Right, I know what you mean.
But
the thing is, he said this during his inaugural speech, right? And people thought, I mean, right then and there, we should have been like, okay, but people still shrugged it off. But he said it. They asked him, "Are you going to rule out military intervention for he said for Panama and for Greenland, no. We're not ruling it out, but for Canada, yes, he said. And then
for now, how long till we invade Canada?
Well, he said we're going to take them over economically. So that's the plan that they're following. Right?
Okay, I need you to do a favor. I need you to bring up the trailer for Canadian Bacon.
Okay.
Have you ever seen Canadian Bacon?
I don't think so.
Bring up the trailer for Canadian Bacon. It's my favorite Roger Moore movie. It's got John Candy in it.
Okay. And I'm doing this why?
Just because it's very applicable to what we're talking about here. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Keep talking, though.
All right,
give me a little bit of cover.
Canadian Bacon, the movie itself, is very applicable. We're talking about the overtaking of Canada. Okay. Now, do I think it's going to happen? Yeah, you gotta get the 10 Kingdoms. You gotta get the Club of Rome plan. If it aligns with biblical prophecy, to get there, you kind of have to have it to happen, right? We'll see. I don't know. All right, but I do believe that again, Panama Canal will come back complete over American control. Greenland will likely be American territory and/or state. Canada, we'll see. But if I had to put money, I had to put 5 on it. I'd say Canada as well, too.
All right, so here we go. Where do you want
Canadian Bacon movie trailer right there. Good old John Candy. You're going to love it.
All right, here we go, guys.
This is a real B&H birthday story.
Look at
a real B&H birthday story.
Customer service since
Look at you with the ads, Billy.
Here we go.
Have you seen the polls? It's not fair. I mean, every other president had all of the Russians to blame for everything. What do I got?
For an unpopular president,
The voters felt that your being alive or dead had no real bearing on their daily lives.
it's time to give war a chance.
Dad.
What are we going to do for an enemy now?
A riot between Americans and Canadians broke out last night.
Now, with a little inspiration,
All I said was Canadian beer sucked.
Give me 1 week and I'll have Americans burning maple leaves.
they'll create a cause worth fighting for.
Is Canadian Prime Minister Clark MacDonald a member of a satanic cult?
Oh, that is stunning.
Canadians are always dreaming up ways to ruin our lives. The metric system, for the love of John.
Captain Kirk of the USS Enterprise.
Canadian.
Do not panic. I'm in complete control.
Welcome to Canada.
I'm your worst nightmare.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We got ways of making you pronounce the letter O.
What we have here is a brave and misguided group of Americans who've gone right into Canada and kicked some serious Canadian butt.
Oh, Americans. Welcome to Ontario. Sportsman's paradise.
Isn't it, though?
John Candy,
There's a time to think, and there's a time to act. And this, gentleman, is no time to think.
Alan Alda,
Surrender pronto, or we'll level Toronto.
Rhea Perlman,
I'm in Canuck Central.
Kevin Pollak,
And when have you ever heard anyone say, honey, let's stay in and order some Canadian food?
and Rip Torn.
I can't kill America's neighbors.
I can.
From Michael Moore, director of Roger and Me,
I think it's time we put the America back in North America.
Canadian Bacon.
Wow,
The
this is-
invasion is coming.
I gotta go. Didn't I tell you to go before the invasion?
Fantastic.
Thoughts? Thoughts? I had to pull that back from
Fantastic.
me watching Comedy Central a lot as a child. All right, thoughts? It's applicable, isn't it? It's applicable.
It's very applicable. And, not only that, it reminds me of, first off, there is some of that going on, which I can't understand, right? We started this conflict with Canada, not we, the Trump regime. I had nothing to do with it. John had nothing to do with it. All of you guys listening now or later had nothing to do with it, right? But the Trump regime started the conflict with Canada. And you see Americans pissed at Canada. I don't understand that for the life of me. You know, what's his name? Pat McAfee from the WWE.
Yeah.
He went off on Canada because they were booing the national anthem. Be like, well, do you understand why they did that, dude? You started it. You know, people like you that support MAGA. You know, who is this buffoon? Joe Rogan. He says he's not traveling up to Canada for the next UFC event because of the anti-American sentiment. I don't understand it. I'm like, Trump did this. The Canadians had nothing to do with this. But so you see that how minds can be manipulated and perception can be manufactured. You know, perception can be manipulated as well. And Jesus Christ, no, it fits. But it also reminded me of another thing, John. And if I find it, I wasn't planning on playing it, but if I find it, I'm going to. Is Jesse Waters? Have you seen his show lately? It's that. It's him hating on everything and putting it out there like that for the people to soak in. He was talking about how we bombed Japan and we are friends with Japan now. So why not burn some bridges if we're going to take over Greenland? Did you see this?
No, I did not.
I'm going to play it for you, but go ahead and talk about this. Let me look for that. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. Of course, S90 in chat says all that laughing. You're on thin ice, Billy. Because
where's my guy?
Where is S90? Where's he at? S90 should come on and should be on here with us.
S90, I'm coming to get you.
You going to Canada? He said for you to bring him over that border, you have to pry him from his literally cold dead body. Okay.
Damn, I don't blame you, S90. I don't blame you, but you need to come say hello to Billy. I'm feeling neglected here. I hope you're doing well, buddy. Go ahead, take over.
No, so I mean, again, I think that we are going to take over some of these territories. I think that we're going to take over some of them, and I think it might be by force. We'll see. And didn't Emmanuel Macron, didn't Jupiter say France would protect Greenland at all costs if we invaded Greenland. Like, again, we're a NATO country. I think, isn't Greenland a NATO country too, or am I mistaken? Right?
What's that, buddy?
Greenland's a NATO country too, isn't it?
Well, by default with Denmark.
Yeah. So if we invade, that means we're invading another NATO country.
Yes, and that's what would trigger World War III, in my opinion. Keep going, though. I'm trying to find a clip.
No, I'm just thinking. I mean, like, would that mean that Trump would literally be fighting NATO at that point?
Yes. I spoke about this earlier. He would be fighting NATO, and he'd probably side with the Russians to do it. The Russians would probably attack NATO after that. It would be World War III, and we would be on the side of the Axis powers. I put out a clip not too long ago and said, I put out a tweet and I said, America is officially the bad guys after the Oval Office debacle with Zelensky, and I got some pushback for it. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. Like, we're here now. They would be the bad guys. Can you do me a favor and just take over for a little bit?
Okay, I'll riff.
Because I really want to find this Jesse Waters clip. Go ahead.
No, so Craig Williams said in the chat on my side that Anna Paula Luna was on Waters World recently, Billy, to tell you. Now, the interesting thing about Anna Paula Luna is she's claiming through the JFK Commission or whatever that she's a part of, that she's claiming that they have proof that NBC's been sitting on a video showing that Lee Harvey Oswald could not have pulled the trigger at the book depository, because there is a video footage that's separate from the Zapruder film that shows that he is there present when Kennedy gets shot on the ground.
Now,
on the
who
streets.
was it that said that?
Anna Paula Luna. You just have the clip of her up here, right here, right?
In your chat. Who was it that said it in your chat?
Craig William.
Craig, you asked and you shall receive. It just came up while I was looking for Jesse Waters' other clip. I mean, this guy, Jesse Waters, is just a despicable human being. I mean, a despicable person. But here he is with the lovely Anna Paulina Luna, who did say all that stuff about all that footage. If you read Behold the Pale Horse, we have this all figured out. It was the limo driver that shot JFK. Not really, but that was the theory that was going around for a long time, and people subscribed to it. Now Anna Paulina Luna is trying to put out a different narrative of I got to see the footage. And now, I mean, with the whole AI situation, you never know what you're going to get at this point. So there is all that to keep that in mind. But I think if footage like that actually existed, it would be all over the place. I wonder what the hell she was talking about. But let me play a little bit of this. Let me see what's going on here. Hold on.
June joins me now. You are so young, Congresswoman, that I'm going to ask you how old you are. How old are you?
I'm 30.
It's in very poor taste to ask a lady how old she is on nationwide television, Jesse Waters. And Jesse Waters has so much work done on his face. He obviously has an issue with age. Look at him. He has incredible amounts of Botox there. Just saying.
All right. So you're incredibly young. You're 35. And you see this new generation coming up. Do you understand how important this is? The president does.
Yeah, most certainly. In fact, Jesse, it's interesting that you're bringing that up. I'm currently working on something that would allow new parents and specifically female members of Congress to vote by proxy when they're recovering from childbirth. So look, we need a younger Congress. We are currently seeing right now that the American people want to have young representation. We have to carry the torch. And it means bringing some of these institutional changes that I believe will be better for the American people in the long run.
And if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's why Greenland is necessary. Do you have...
So now Greenland becomes necessary. You see what goes on here? No one was talking about Greenland.
Well,
no one.
Well, no one recently. However, as Tony Arterburn had said, and I'm gonna push back.
No. That's my point. That's exactly my point. Just because it was spoken about years ago by Pat Buchanan, that no one in the mainstream America for decades have discussed Greenland as a necessary acquisition of the United States.
But the missing piece that Tony has, and doesn't have, and I'm gonna push against him here for a moment, was it was actively talked about at Council for National Policy meetings in the late 80s, early 90s, and that's how the Jesuit CMP member Patrick J. Buchanan was putting it out in the first place. The
you're right.
CMP has wanted Greenland since the late 80s.
All right, here we go.
Leagues in the House that are against taking Greenland?
No, I don't think so. Well, actually, I take that back. I think that there's been some murmurs of people that think that it might just be messaging, but I would actually argue from a strategic standpoint, Jesse, that that would actually be a great location for us. Not to mention, from what I gather, the people of Greenland are very much supportive of becoming potentially a U.S. territory. And so I'm supportive of it. Why would we?
That's a straight lie. That's a total bold-faced lie. And she knows it. And Jesse Waters knows it. They know it. They know it's a lie, but they don't care. Incredible.
Want to expand our message and really have people that are for the America First and pro-American ideology.
When we talk tariffs and trade and the president talks about buying American, why is that important? People don't usually get it.
Well, as of right now, specifically in the 70s, when big corporations started sending industry overseas, what ultimately...
All right, Craig, you got what you asked for. I know you didn't really ask for it,
Hold
but you
on,
referenced
Craig
it.
did bring up something I do want to mention real quick in the chat. Shout out to Craig William.
What up, Craig?
He said Anna Paulina Luna has been placed in a position for a 6-month study on JFK, RFK, MLK, and UAPs. Now, the interesting thing it says about UAPs, though, is her and Burchett and Burleson hosted Louis Elizondo and Christopher Mellon. Well, Christopher Mellon is from the Mellon family. The Mellon family are very high influential in the Council for National Policy and very strong in pushing conspiracy theories for the greater part of 40 years.
Right. Go ahead.
So, no, I mean, does this not smell like a work to people if we're talking wrestling terms?
Man, it might be, man. It might be. They definitely want it, right? And here we go. But we need to be on the tip of our toes at all times because this will trigger World War III. I know people like to say that the situation with Vladimir Zelensky that he's actively looking to trigger World War III. I think this is a more likely situation, and Donald Trump isn't trying to make any friends or any friends that unless his name is Vladimir Putin, to be honest with you, or King Jong-un, and maybe over in China, that's it. These are the only people he respects. Viktor Orban, Bukele down in El Salvador, and that's another thing that we spoke about. John and I have been talking about, and it's not to pat ourselves on the back, all right? But we've been talking about this for a long, long time. Dustin Helm, we love Dustin Helm. Love Dustin Helm here, an unofficial member of what it is here that we do. We appreciate you, buddy. The America Unplugged family. Thank you, Dustin, for being cool as shit. So we've been talking about this for quite some time here. And we said that they were going to use that stupid prison down in El Salvador. And we said that they were going to use the Bukele model here in the United States. And as soon as Trump became the president, that connection was worked. And Bukele offered up, he said, hey, give me all your illegal immigrants and give me your citizens. Give them to me. Pay me a small fee for the Americans, but a very large fee for us, he said. Pay us, and we will handle all of this for you, Mr. Trump. Thank you so much. And Trump has taken them up on it, defied court orders in order to do it, sent these people to a concentration camp. They got their head shaved, stripped, beat up, and thrown in a hole, like John mentioned earlier. John mentioned that several of first off, no due process for any of them. They haven't shown any proof that any of these people are actual gang members. And for a few of them, we already know that they're not gang members and their families are looking for them. And they've disappeared into the black hole that is CCOT. That's what they call it, a black hole, because people go in there and they're never heard from again. They were able to identify one of these guys by a tattoo he had on his neck. And it wasn't a gang tattoo, right? So here's what we're dealing with. And then with Trump's loosey-goose use of the terrorism and terrorist label, it's incredibly likely, unfortunately, that might be used against American citizens, the white ones too. You know, like, I mean, real American citizens that were born here, right? And they're already trying to challenge. And I mean, that's not the only definition of an American citizen. If you have a green card, you are a real American citizen, right? But they're trying to denaturalize people now. And then who was it that introduced that? Somebody introduced that bill. I forget, but they tried to. They're introducing it. They're actively working towards having that happen, and that's why it becomes a problem for all of us. All of us. You start talking crap about the regime, how quick will you end up in El Salvador? What's up, John?
No, I agree. We've talked about it for a while. S90 in the chat says that means that the Mellon family, Christopher Mellon, is working with RFK Jr.'s daughter-in-law, Amaryllis Fox Kennedy, the ex-CIA agent, who Greer has known for years the whole UFO disclosure movement is secret right, which is very true. The whole UFO disclosure movement is the right wing of the world order. And Bill Cooper, though he later renounced that, was a major part of the UFO disclosure movement as well. I mean, that's very much a central part of Behold a Pale Horse. And in that book, he thinks...
He was a John Bircher, wasn't he?
We don't know for that, but we know that he did thank the Hunt family in Behold a Pale Horse. Just like Alex Jones, still to this day says that the Hunt family, John Birch Society founders and CMP founders, he still says they're great patriots and heroes to America. CMP Alex Jones says that. So, I mean, yeah, we talked about, I believe that Bukele was a stage of the forerunner for Trump, right? So what was happening in El Salvador would eventually happen here in America. And it looks like that is likely going to come to pass.
Right, man, right. All right. I found this clip. Found it on Instagram, so it's not the most ideal one. But we may have to listen to it more than once to get everything we're trying to get.
S90 says Bill Cooper admitted that he was the order of the DMLA.
Right. Okay. Thank you, S90. All right, here goes our guy Jesse Waters. This ridiculous piece of crap, Jesse Waters.
And
I cannot
lives. Thank you, Spearman. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, here we go.
Every country puts their interest first. And when our interests align, we can do business. And when they don't, that's life. If we have to burn down a few bridges with Denmark to take Greenland, we're big boys. We dropped A-bombs on Japan, and now they're our top ally in the Pacific. We may have to burn a bridge to build a big, beautiful new one to the next generation. America's not handcuffed by history. Trump knows what we need to do to make this century America's century. And he's tapping young talent like JD, Hegseth, and Levitt to keep Manifest Destiny alive.
Wow.
Every country puts their interest first. And when our interests align.
All right, so we heard the whole thing.
So Jesse Waters is a clown. He's always been a clown.
But this is ridiculous. This is dangerous rhetoric, bro.
I know.
I mean,
but just like Canadian bacon, right?
Yeah.
It's no difference, right?
Right. No, I don't. It's crazy what's going on. But here we are. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Please, just keep your eyes out for this stuff, and listen and bring new information to the table. Whatever we're missing, show us. We want to hear it. We want to see it. And we're expanding. Of course, we're on GroundZeroPlus.com, Ground Zero Radio. Go check it out. What is going on to everybody over there? John, say what's up to your chat real quick. Who's over there?
Hope everybody's doing well. There, Ozar Logistics, the Spirit Man Lives.
Who's that?
Spirit Man, Epic Journeyman.
Epic, what's going on? No.
S90.
Okay. Listen. S90 and Epic, if you can be in the chat, you need to be on the show. We need your voices. I understand. I like to sit in the chat and listen too, but if you can come on, man, we'd love to have. I mean, not now. We're about to get out of here, but we'd love to hear your opinions on some of this. I'm expanding. I'm doing different things. I am, and And I was talking about it with my wife earlier and just trying to figure out whether it was the right thing to do. And I don't know how successful it will be. I don't know how far it will come along, but we're trying it. And you'll see it as the weeks progress. But if there's room, I'd love to have you guys. So please, especially Epic and S90, we have to discuss these things. You guys are a wealth of knowledge on all these topics. So we need your help, but we appreciate you in the chat as it is. All right, go ahead, John.
Gammy, Jason,
Gammy?
Jason Barker, Karen Carpenter.
Hey, wow, everybody's here. What's up, Jay? How you doing?
The Spirit Man
What's
lives.
up? What's up, Karen? How are you?
Paul,
ahead,
brother Paul, good to see you, brother Paul. Rosalind, good to see you, Rosalind. Probably need to scroll up further to find out other people. Wheezy was in the chat for a while, but then I gave him a wrench and he let the power go to his head, and then he I was like, hey, don't let the power go to your head. I'm just messing with you, Wheezy. And he didn't message after that. He went quiet. So I was just messing with you, Wheezy. I was just joking. So
let me see who else is here. That we are. Let me see how many people we have over on Tony's X. We are 105 on Tony's X. That we are blessings to all of you. Thank you for coming on, and we never announce when we're doing these things, so I really appreciate that you guys are here and you're watching. If you're chatting, we appreciate that even more. It's Dustin Helm is in there. We appreciate you. Of course, Karen Carpenter, what's going on? We have Max is up there. Let me see what he said.
Jason Barker says he wants to watch you slowly eat a hard-boiled egg on the air because of how expensive eggs are. So
I do that on America Unplugged. It's late right now, so I don't need hard-boiled eggs this early this late at night. But on America, you want to tune into America Unplugged, and I will do that. I should open up my OnlyFans page to eat hard-boiled eggs, but it's a new thing. It's a fetish of a lot of people now that eggs are so expensive. So I have eggs constantly. I mean, I pay a lot of money for them, but I have that underground network hookup. So I will be opening up an OnlyFans. It's one of these things that I wanted to do for a long time that I said I was going to do differently. I had to talk with my wife about it. Like, we're opening up an OnlyFans. It's called Only Fringe with BRV. And I will eat hard-boiled eggs for about 30 minutes, depending on how much money you give me. Like, if the rates increase like after every.
I can't sign off on this, Billy.
Why not?
It's too degenerate. You're not going to be a feeder. No.
I was going to ask you to come. Like, I was going to have guests on from time to time.
Nope.
Nope. I guess I tried. It was a good idea. At least I thought it was.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
Have you? Can you read this real quick? You wouldn't know about this. What is the Baba Vanga?
Okay, so Baba Vanga, like, she was a mystic, blind mystic. I think she was Bulgarian, right? If I remember correctly. She channeled a whole bunch of. She got a lot of things wrong. Like, I don't put divinations in that regard sinful. I don't. She said that the 44th president was supposed to be an African American, which I guess you could say she ended up getting right, but she also said that the 44th president was supposed to be the last president. But then, Max in the chat said 45, but actually she said 44, and so we've had more presidents since then. Trump being, she's gotten stuff wrong. I mean, I don't put much merit into her. So maybe satanically she divined some things and got right, sure, but whatever. I don't put much stock into her. So
okay, I don't know anything about it, buddy. I'll try to look it up. Also, Chris France, shout out to you. I can't get into the Ground Zero chat. I can't click on it for some reason. I was just able to do it. I think it needs to be a little bit more visible up on top. I mean, that's what I would do. Just giving you a heads up on that. But I want to see if there's anybody over there, but I'm having a hard time getting in. So for anybody in the Ground Zero chat, we love you guys. Okay. And that's it. theinfinitefringe.podbeam.com. Make sure you check it out. America Unplugged, 12 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. John Brisson, we've read the documents. Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me. We read the documents on YouTube as long as I'm still there. We've read the documents on Patreon, Odyssey, and Substack. Substack gives you the most access to my content. You get my written work. Most of my Finder's book is up there. I'm almost done with it. I should be done with it in the next few weeks. I've been back writing and posting some new stuff on there. And also my PowerPoint presentation with all of the receipts and links and stuff like that of Donald John Trump's vast connections to Jeffrey Epstein. So if you want to know those, go check it out. And glad to be back on here on the show with you, Billy, as always. I love you, brother.
All right, buddy. We're getting up out of here. We're also streaming on PW Hustle. That's my wrestling channel. A-Track does a lot of
Shout out
things
to A-Track.
Yeah, he does a bunch over there. But I wanted to stream it there just to have it somewhere. But we probably won't stream there consistently. I opened up a new YouTube channel for this sort of stuff, so we'll let you know where it's at, and we're gonna go there. But shouts to anybody that's over there on the PW Hustle. What's going on? All right.